What's up nerds? So by now, you all know that I do like collecting things in games. And one of the things that I really like to collect are of course, dead bodies. Are these glowing bubbly tubes. So let's go check every free-to-play tubes that we can acquire in Fallout 76. Let's start with Daily Ops. From Daily Ops, we can get the Wendigo tube. Definitely not a bad tube to have, but I feel like the Wendigo here looks a lot smaller in the tube compared to the actual creature. Still in Daily Op, you can also get the Flatwoods monster tube, and they are rare creatures to see out in the wild, so it is pretty cool to have one in your base. Makes you feel like a real collector of sorts, real sick collector. There's of course the Super Mutant tube as well, from Daily Ops. If you line a bunch of these up in your shelter, you can kinda make it look like you were the crazy scientist behind the super mutants, and that these are FAD tanks. Also from Daily Ops, you can get the floater tubes, which is just one plant for 3 different variations. The floater flamer tube, the floater freezer tube, and the floater nasher tube. And lastly, on Daily Ops, you can get the Mirelurk King tube, so all in all, a pretty cool selection of tubes just from Daily Ops. The Mirelurk King does kinda look smaller here as well, but I guess that's the case with a lot of these creatures, just so that they can fit into the tubes. Now moving on to stuff that we can get from Expeditions and Giuseppe, so of course we can get the Trog tube for 180 stamps from Giuseppe, or as a weekly expedition drop from completing expeditions at the pit. There are also 3 Overgrown tubes, each sold separately at 90 stamps at Giuseppe, or as a weekly drop from finishing the Human Condition expedition. And as you can see, there is the Overgrown Pollinator tube, the Overgrown Elder tube, and the Overgrown Thorn tube. Then moving on to public events, there is just one for now, the Lost tube, which can be acquired from the public event Dangerous Times. Kinda cool, but I expected their whole bodies to have those dark patches and be more lightning-y, you know, with the blue cracks, but nope, we just have a partially turned Lost with a big ol' whitey tighty. Now onto the seasonal events. We can get the Scorched tube from the Mo Minor Pails from the seasonal treasure hunter event. And how come this guy doesn't get the decency of having whitey tighties to cover his unmentionables? The Cave Cricket tube is also from the Mo Minor Pails, and compared to the other creatures which look somewhat downsized, this one actually looks slightly bigger than their roaming counterparts. And the Yao Guai tube, also from the Mo Minor Pails, and you can definitely tell that this little bear is just a cub because it is much smaller than the roaming ones around. Now from the Invaders from Beyond seasonal event, we can get the highly sought after Human Tube 1, the Human Tube 2, and the Alien tube, which goes nicely with the Flatwoods monster tube that we got before. All of this drops separately, of course. Then there's also the Honeybeast tube, which can be acquired from the Big Bloom seasonal event, and in the test server, the legs of this Honeybeast were clipping out from the tube, so it is good to see that they fixed all that. Now onto some of the items that aren't tubes in of themselves, but that look pretty good if you mix and match. From Grom's Meat Cook seasonal event, you can get the Super Mutant diagram and the Super Mutant Hound diagram separately, of course. Though we don't have a Super Mutant Hound tube yet, because we have the Super Mutant tube, it is pretty cool to put this diagram thing on the tubes. So if you do plan on making your own FEV plant, these could look pretty good. There's also the frog habitat, which the plan you will already have learned from the beginning of the game. You will just need to gather some blood leaf, wood, and glass, then craft the frog jar from the Tinkerer's Bench. Then go capture some frogs. There's a bunch at the White Springs pool. And with all of these in your inventory, you can now place the frog habitat in your camp from the floor decor tab. And though it is not an experimental tube like the other ones, it is a glass container within which we placed a live specimen for scientific observation purposes perhaps. So I think it matches the vibe. There's also the mutated goldfish, the plant for which you can get from the NukaCade for 1,600 points. And though not in a glass container, it is a very similar looking green liquid, and it is seemingly alive, perhaps again for observation. There's also the severed lost hand, which you can get by completing the main quest Powerhouse of the Cell. And though it is not supposedly alive like the other specimens, I think it's pretty neat to have it around in your mad scientist lab. Something I hadn't mentioned in the last video is that you can get the jarred Scorched parts. Come to where I am here in Morgantown Airport. Right here on the second hangar that says Medical Lab. Go upstairs, grab the 2 jars here, and then go towards the back. Here you can get 2 more jars, and then open the refrigerator to get yet another jar. Of course that was 5 jars, 1 head, 2 hands, and 2 feet. But despite there being 2 hand jars, they're the same item. It's not left and right, it's just 2 right hands. Same for the feet. They're exactly the same. So just 3 unique items. But still, pretty cool to have these, and these are junk, so watch out not to scrap them by mistake, but it's kinda cool to look at, and also you can display them in your camp. And finally, the Aquarium pillar, sold by Giuseppe for 70 stamps, or as a weekly drop from finishing the most sensational game expedition. And yeah, this one is a very different vibe, but I think it could be a neat centerpiece for the lab surrounded by the other tubes. I mean, it is a glass encasing with live specimens inside, perhaps not for scientific observation, but for observation nonetheless. Anyway, that is all I had to show you today. What do you think? Are you ready to build that mad scientist lab yet? Let me know in the comments down below, and while you're at it, let me know what I should collect next. It can be anything from any game as long as I think it's cool. And with that, leave a like if you enjoyed this video, consider helping the channel out by clicking join down below to become a member, subscribe to see more videos like this, and as per usual, always nerd on.